All right, well, thank you so much for the introduction, and I think it's good afternoon now to everybody. My name is Melissa Jammal. I'm an occupational therapist and I'm a PhD candidate at Western Sydney University, and it is my absolute pleasure to be able to share with you some of the research that we've been doing at Western Sydney University to promote the health and wellbeing of informal carers of people who've had a stroke. But also some of the challenges that we've faced, particularly in our experiences when working in this area. I do just want to say a big thank you to all the carers and healthcare professionals that have assisted us throughout this whole journey and are still currently assisting us now. Okay, so I just thought I'd provide a very brief overview of what I'm going to go through today. So I am going to start off with just a very brief research background, moving to some of the formative work we did to inform our current studies and discuss some of the key findings. I then do want to move into discussing some of the challenges that we faced when engaging carers in research, but some of the strategies that we've used to overcome those challenges, and finish off with some exciting research that we're going to be conducting shortly. So, might be a good time to tell you what the PhD focus is on. The overall aim is to reduce carer stress and strain and promote carer health and wellbeing, specifically of informal carers of people who've had a stroke. And we set out to take a series of 5 studies to achieve this aim. And we're currently sitting at the final study, so fingers crossed that that means I'm finishing this PhD, which feels like it's been going on for a while now. And so I am going to be discussing with you today just 2 of these studies. Otherwise, I don't think I'd have enough time to go through all of them. Also, if you want any details about any of these studies, I am going to attach QR codes to the end with the 4 articles that you can access as well. So to start off with some formative work that we've been doing, we basically wanted to start off with understanding what's out there for informal carers of people that have had a stroke. So we did conduct a systematic review and meta-analysis where we took all the programs that had been designed. We found 19 in this area, and we looked at seeing whether they were actually effective in improving carer outcomes. What we did find from this study is that majority of the programs included were very varied. So they were varied in terms of how long they went for. We had one for 4 days. We had others that went for 12 months. They were varied in terms of how many times they'd contact the carer. Some programs were contacting the carer or supporting the carer weekly. Others were looking at monthly or even fortnightly support as well. The other point of variation was when they chose to engage carers. So some programs chose to engage carers right at the beginning of their caring role, and others chose 6 months post the patient's discharge or even a year post, okay? So it was due to this variation that we were unable to say whether these programs were effective, as you can imagine. And then that kind of gave us a lot of information that we needed. One interesting point that I do want to kind of highlight here is that despite, we've been talking about this today, the importance of talking to carers, involving carers in program development, actually getting carers to tell you their needs and what they'd like to see in programs, majority of the studies within this review did not even talk to carers or consult carers when they were developing their programs. So I guess it kind of told us why they weren't maybe as effective as well. The other thing is we saw that majority of studies recruited female carers and carers aged between 40 to 70 years of age. What that meant is it showed us that there is a need for further research looking at male carers and young carers who are quite underrepresented in this space as well. So then we took those findings from that review and said, well, moving forward, we want to use that co-design approach. We want to really collaborate with carers. Before we go into making a program, we need to take a step back and actually speak to the carers and the healthcare professionals that are going to be involved in developing this program. And that's why we conducted a mixed method study where we did semi-structured individual interviews with carers, and we also got them to fill in 1 questionnaire. The aim of this was to ask carers about their experiences when providing care initially, so within that first 3 months of their caring role, but then also ask them what they would have liked to see in a program if they were to give advice to a new carer and things like that. So we interviewed 10 carers. Yes, despite knowing how hard it is to engage male carers, we were unable to recruit. We got 9, majority of our sample was female, aged 24 to 73 years of age, and the length of caring varied, so 3 months to up to 6 years. And just in sake of time, I am just going to provide some very brief findings from this particular study. So we identified 3 overarching key themes that are there on your slide. I do want to just speak to the really high level findings. What was really interesting for us, and I think it was a matter of we came in thinking one way, left thinking a different, was most of the carers told us that they actually would have preferred an individualized program and tailored resources as opposed to peer support program and group-based programs. And this was particularly in that initial stage where they were finding their footing in their caring role. And what that taught us is instead of offering maybe group-based, which we were planning on, we need to take a step back and look at individual and more tailored approaches to these carers. The next thing we found is many carers told us in the interviews they did not want to identify with the carer role, or they didn't identify with the carer role. When we kind of probed a little bit for additional information on why this was, for some carers, it was because they felt carers are not valued in society. So identifying with that role, they didn't feel valued to do that. For other carers, it was because of the cultural obligation. They felt that part of their culture was doing this, and so they were just fulfilling some sort of cultural or even familial obligation as well. The last thing we found is a lot of carers said that because of this lack of recognition from family members, from even the care recipient, or even society as a whole, they were more reluctant to go and access those services, even when they were aware of what those services were. So we took all that information and I thought I would kind of summarize some of the challenges that we've experienced in research with engaging carers. One of the biggest challenges has been carer self-identification. So a lot of carers don't identify with the term carer, and that means when we are recruiting carers, they often won't opt in for programs or research where we're using the term carer. So we've had to be mindful of that. Carer time and availability has been hard. We've spoken about it today. Carers often don't have a lot of time, and if they are going to engage in your research, there needs to be some sort of benefit to them. And it's also what we found is carers were not available during those standard hospital hours of say 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so often they felt like they were not getting supported by healthcare professionals because they weren't available during those times. We have struggled to recruit male and young carers particularly, and I'd love to hear from everyone about if they're experiencing something similar in this space, especially culturally and linguistically diverse carers as well. So being from working in southwestern Sydney particularly, we have a high population of cold carers, and so trying to get them to engage in our programs has been particularly difficult. Because we all work with such a diverse population with carers, it means that they have very unique barriers, but they have unique needs and priorities. So tailoring has been particularly difficult, which kind of leads me to retention. And I think I've learned a lot today already about how to get carers to kind of stay involved in your research. But we've had a lot of times where carers have had to opt out for whatever reason, whether it's due to caregiving demands, which has meant ongoing collaboration can be sometimes hard as well. Finally, I think maybe this is a challenge across the sector, but getting funding, most of the grants are often more so situated towards the person with the condition as opposed to the carer, or they're looking at very particular areas. And finally, ethics. This is my biggest barrier at the moment. Trying to get ethics when you're working with such a tailored approach can be quite hard because we are on a need-to-need basis as opposed to putting that in a whole ethics application can be difficult too. What have we done to overcome some of these challenges? Well, we've considered language when we're recruiting. So instead of using the term carer, we've ensured to use different terms. It could be supporting someone who's had a stroke, providing assistance to a family member or a friend. So we've really changed our language in this space. We've also had to provide flexible options for research participation. So some of the ways that we've done that is we've offered carers a chance to, instead of doing like one 90-minute interview or 60-minute interview, do you want to break it into 30-minute sessions, offering them sessions outside of the standard business hours, potentially weekends and after hours, and then offering flexible options for communication. So whether that's Zoom, whether that's phone calls, even text messages, it's been very helpful to give them those flexible options. Working with key organisations, so we worked with Carers, got some help from Carers New South Wales Stroke Foundation, Stroke Recovery Association, which has been pivotal to help with reaching carers and with recruitment as well. And I want to say one of the things that we've, I think, really tried to do throughout the whole research process is ongoing collaboration with carers, but also healthcare professionals. So a lot of what we saw is healthcare professionals recognise how important carers are and they want to help carers, but they don't have the time to help carers or they don't have the resources. And so what we've been trying to do is bridge that gap, support the healthcare professional to support the carer as well. And so we've worked with carers throughout all our studies. We have a steering committee that attended workshops and have helped us to really inform the next stage of our research. And it's this steering committee that's helped us to offer more tailored support and education. So they have been involved in even developing our interview questions, looking at our questionnaires. They've looked at the content and the resources we've developed as well. The last thing I'm going to say is consider participant burden. As a carer myself and a healthcare professional, I kind of wear two hats with my own research. And I understand that as a carer, you need to see value in your participation in research, but also value for your time and your energy. And so one of the things we've done throughout all our studies is we've provided remuneration through gift cards, which we've been able to do, but also always considering that carers really do want to be involved in that research and they want to know where it went. And that's something that we've been really good at, delivering that back to the carer as well. So before I wrap up, I just want to introduce you to some exciting research that we are about to roll out in the southwestern Sydney region. So all the information and all the studies we've done has really led us to develop a carer support package that we're going to be rolling out in the southwestern Sydney region across 3 hospital sites. And this program is a 12-week program that's designed for informal carers. It's been co-designed with the carers themselves, but also healthcare professionals who are going to be delivering the program. Essentially, it has a mixture of providing education, but also support sessions to the carers as well. And we're going to do this initially. So post-discharge is week 1, and then 3 months we will follow the carer. We are hoping that we will see an improvement in their overall health and well-being, but I will say for now, watch this space. Thank you so much, everyone.
So much, Melissa. Any questions for Melissa?
Thanks, Melissa. What a great presentation and fantastic PhD. I am just interested more in your program.
Yeah.
I guess, what's it look like? Is it face-to-face? Is it one-on-one? Like how are you kind of looking at improving carers' psychological well-being in all of that?
Excellent. Yeah. I didn't have enough time to go through it.
But I'd give you more opportunity to talk more about it.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So we basically took a lot of time, as you can see, with all the studies, trying to fine-tune, length. How long is it going to be? 12 weeks. We found that carers experience a high level burden within that first 3-month period, which is why we did 12 weeks. We've taken a tailored approach. And what that means is each carer is going to get a core resource that we've developed with topics that have been selected by carers and by healthcare professionals. And this resource has also been looked at in our workshops to make sure that it is carer friendly and easy to use. We are going to give them that resource, and then we're also going to give them every 3 weeks a check-in session with a healthcare professional. So it's tailored to them. So they get that every 3 weeks, that session. It can be a phone call, it can be a Zoom, it can be face-to-face, they get to pick. And that's where they get to discuss any of the topics, ask any questions that they might have. They also have a list of resources where they can opt in for additional information. We do know we don't want to overwhelm them because carers often get thrown pamphlets after pamphlets. So what we've done is we've taken a step back, given them that core resource and said, if you want additional information, you let us know, we'll give you that additional information. The other aspect of the program is the carer can opt in for additional support sessions if they like, but we've been told by carers that they just want, you know, those set ones, and then they'll tell us if they want more. And so that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Melissa?
I'm always really excited to hear carers being included in the co-design or collaboration around program design. So thank you so much for that. I was really just curious, really, when you were designing the questions, the interview questions and the survey questions, can you just describe that process a little bit and what sort of changes were made as a result of their inclusion in that?
Is Lucas here? Lucas is right there. Lucas helped us out a lot as well with designing the questions for that particular study. So we had healthcare professionals, we had carers that were available. We sent them the document first of what we thought, like we sent the research questions that we were trying to achieve. And then we got carers to comment. And from that process, we actually had some additional questions added in around identity. So that's something we didn't consider beforehand. And another really big consideration, I think this came from Lucas as well, was considering the benefits of caring too, which is often missed in research. So not just focusing on the challenges, but also giving carers an opportunity to discuss, you know, some of the good things in their day, that maybe we just focus on all the bad things in their day, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then we had another meeting, followed up, checked the questions again, made sure that they were good to go. Yeah.
Thank you. One quick question.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. So a bit of a theme that I've seen through these presentations is the sort of the area around a carer's not identifying as a carer, not using that term. And it just sort of made me think, like in the New Aged Care Act, they've sort of used the term supporter to cover all of that. So I was wondering, like through your research, did you change your language at all to try and engage wider so you don't, you know, we don't want to say it, but there is that stigma around people taking on that word as an identity and trying to use something different?
Yeah, definitely. We've had to change our recruitment materials. We've changed our language as well, which has meant that we've tried to engage people who don't even potentially see themselves as a carer, but are taking on that particular caring role. So we have, like I said, used that language of providing support for somebody. In our current study, it's going to be the healthcare professional that identifies the carer. So we are kind of similar to Kanisha. We're working with that process of us as researchers are sitting to the side and the hospitals really doing that identification for us.